Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Sorry I'm a bit late. I've had problems with my OBS, so hopefully everything's working now. I hope you're still here. Well, I'm assuming it's working. Let's have a look. Okay, so we'll have a chat in a minute. Let's just look what's going on here. So let's have a look. Yes, okay. Tony, how you doing, buddy? Okay, something wrong with my OBS. I think I'm going to have to, it was playing up the other day, kept disconnecting and reconnecting. I'm going to have to delete it later or reset it all. So hopefully, fingers crossed. So let's have a look. So enjoyed my week off. Well, best part of a week off. Did a few things around the house, just generally chilled out a little bit. Did a little bit of shopping. We needed a few bits and pieces for the house. So it's kind of a nice break, actually. So I feel nice and refreshed. Let's have a little look what's going on. So we have got a big gap there. I'm assuming that's going to get filled at some point. Whether it's going to be now or not, I don't know. So it's been chopping around up and down. So you don't know whether this is going to fail. That failed. But we have got that gap. So I'm guessing by the end of the day, I think there's a good chance this thing is going to fill that gap, I think. So let's just have a look, see if there's anything kind of there. How does that fit? Yeah, possibly. It's a bit too early to tell at the moment. So I don't really want to go short here, although that looks like a kind of a two-tiered channel, but it could fail. Let me just check everything's working.
Order submitted.
Yeah, so far so
Order
good.
cancelled.
There is a lower high there, but I'm sitting tight here at the moment, just to give that a bit of space, just in case. So that does look like a downtrend. Does look like a two-tiered channel. But as I say, I'm not sure what caused that gap up. So, let me think, where are we? We're Monday today, aren't we? So we've had news over the weekend that Israel has started to sort of to do something in Iran, which we kind of knew was going to happen. So I thought it would be the opposite. I thought we'd have a drop down this morning, but we haven't. We've had a strong push up. So usually sort of negative news like that affects price, but it doesn't seem to have affected that. We've had a gap up of about 5, 10, about 15 points or a little bit more maybe. Sticking with a 3-point scalp. Yeah. So I've had to do a little bit of soul searching these last few days. I did lose one of my accounts. I've got 3 now. But sometimes you just get in a little bit of a rut and you kind of need to walk away for a bit. Now, up until Wednesday, I hadn't had any time off at all since last Christmas. And when I had last Christmas off, see, the Christmas before that, I worked right the way through. Obviously, I had Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day and that sort of stuff, but I worked right the way through. But last Christmas, I had about 10 days off straight, and I've got to say, I absolutely felt great. So it is important to take some time off, but sometimes you get, you know, when I want to learn something, I tend to kind of get a bit obsessed. There is kind of a lower high there, big bearish bar. That's very tempting. But it's just that it's one of those things. It may work and it may not. I am guessing it's going to fill that gap at some point, but it might not do it straight away. It could trigger and push up, but I do like the way that's working there. I am, yes. Very tempting there. It's 13 ticks. I mean, it's very nice, isn't it? But you have to just be aware that there is some support there. So, yeah, I did. I've got Guardian Angel on my 3 accounts, which these are fine. The other one I didn't. It was a kind of a newer account. So, but I was just getting into a rut. See, I don't seem to have any problem making money. I seem to have a problem keeping it. So when I tend to, see, it's very tempting to take that, but the trouble is, look at that. I'm just trying to think liquidity down here. There's going to be a lot of buying there. So it's just a bit too risky here. This is sort of crunch point. Does it go back into the range? I know we pushed up here. We had an overshoot there and we only got so far up. And then we started to turn down. Maybe as we get a trap here. Maybe we get a lower high here to trap that bull bar. Trouble is, liquidity-wise, I'm looking for... see, when you're taking up to say about 3 months ago, I had a nice run. I had 14 wins in a row. And when you're doing that, you feel like you can't fail. You feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like you understand exactly how the market's going. Your discipline's right. Everything's working fine. And then you seem to get a loss or two. And then you seem to get into this kind of world of being about unsure. Trouble is, because there's so much failure with learning to trade, it's very hard to have that sort of belief system that you can do it, because it's got a habit of really messing around with your mind, this business has. And I think that eventually starts to go as your skill level gets better and you take less poor trades. But if I've taken what I believe to be a genuine trade, I'm usually okay with that. It's if my patience goes and I take something that I know was a bit risky. So, for instance, that bar there, looking from it based on a downtrend, it looks beautiful. Great pushed up along there, great big bearish bar, looks absolutely beautiful. But the context is telling us we're at the bottom of this range, so it could go up. So it could trap that out. You can guarantee there's going to be some liquidity there. So I know in my own mind that's a risky trade. But sometimes you just, something... thanks, Ryan, I appreciate that. Sometimes something just takes over and you get a little bit impulsive and you jump in, and before you know it, you're out of a trade and you're kicking yourself because you shouldn't have done it now. So I really need to just... But the trouble is, there doesn't seem to be as many setups as there was a few years ago when I started this. And that kind of... You have that in your mind and you kind of go, well, maybe I should have a go at that one and, think about the numbers game. So it's a tough business, I will say. So that bar look like it's working, but I still don't want to get into a trade. Because if you see that work, you might decide to jump in here and think, wow, if I don't do something, I'm going to miss it. And then all of a sudden, we got a higher low. Now, you can guarantee there's going to be, if you didn't buy there, it may have teased you into buying. So we've gone up and it hasn't stopped that out. Wow, okay, so it looks like it is going down. And then you jump in again, and all of a sudden it turns and pushes up. I'm not saying it's going to do that, but that's been my observation over the last few years. The market kind of teases you into taking a trade. If you don't bite with that one, maybe you go with that one. All of a sudden it triggers your woof, takes them out and them out. So there is a second entry short here possibly forming, but it is congested. And we know there's support here. We can see it along here. So this area really is high risk. So the sensible thing to do really is to stay here, stay out of this. You didn't miss much last year. I did have a little look now and again, but I stayed out the trade and it was kind of nice. But yeah, it doesn't seem I'm missing much at all lately. Market's just been awful lately, just lack of setups and lots of this kind of whipping around. But no, it's crunch time here, isn't it, really? Now, I'm guessing there'll have been some traders buying that as a higher low. But I wouldn't want to wait until that bar breaks below there to take a trade. So I think the honest thing to do here is to stay out of here. There's going to be bulls trapped and bears trapped. You can guarantee it. And it could go up, stop them out, and then come down and stop them out. But this is clearly congested, so... there is a second entry short there. 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like a triple test. It's very tempting because it is readable. We know there's that gap. So let me just have a look at this.
Order submitted.
Let's see what the risk is. Wow, that's just too much. Oh, well, mind you, it's only 12 ticks, but No, that's too much risk, that is. If it was here, I may have had a go at that, but I'm not risking 13 ticks to bars
Order
and enough
canceled.
anyway. So, but it is a failure. There is going to be some balls trapped, and I'm guessing there's going to be some there. So my gut feeling is it probably is likely going to go down. But I'm staying out of that, because if I took a trade there and it stung me, I'd kick myself. Election time, it will start moving again. After, yeah, I do believe that. I keep hearing, I mean, I don't know much about how elections affect the markets, so I'm not going to pretend I do, but Max seems to think it does, and obviously he's been around long enough and traded these markets to know, what affects him. But I don't quite understand when he says they won't let these markets go lower. Well, who won't? The buyers? What? I don't kind of know. See, my understanding of markets before I got into trading, if there's more buyers, it goes up. If there's more sellers, I didn't think it was any more complicated than that, but sometimes it seems that maybe it is. Now, I obviously know the institutional guys have got a lot more sway on how this market works. Obviously, the more money you got, the more, impact you can have on, on the buyers. I kind of know that from crypto. You get some, big selling in Bitcoin. Someone, some whale dumps a load of Bitcoin. It moves the markets. And I'm pretty sure they rely on the likes of us. Well, maybe not so much us who are trading prop firms, but maybe guys that are kind of bored, that have got some money and want to have a go at these markets. They kind of sort of prey on those guys, I think. Steady influx. It means the current government want to keep the markets at high. What I don't understand, though, is how do the governments have control over this? My understanding of it, there's buyers and sellers in the market. Well, buyers, sellers, investors, whatever you want to call them. But I don't know how governments are able to sort of have any impact, whether this thing goes up or down. I don't get it. The trouble is, when you're a retail trader like me, you've never had any kind of formal training. You're not mixing in with, those kind of realms of traders that work for these big city banks, and you kind of know what's going on. So you kind of have to sort of pick up little bits of knowledge on the way. But when you don't have any kind of formal training or that sort of thing, it's kind of picking bits up here or there. You never really quite know. Monetary policy and interest rates. Yeah. I tend to know they do that, but I don't know what sort of bearing it has on this, really, I suppose. If interest rates are high, there's less money to go around, less money to invest. So what is going on here? I thought when that started pushing down there, this was going to start heading for the bottom. But I don't think it is. So I'm wondering whether there is something wider there. That actually doesn't look terrible to me. Hey, Philip, how you doing, my friend? Money flows between yields and bonds. Yeah, I don't understand all that. But I kind of know, I kind of get it. But sort of don't understand too much how the markets actually impact it to a degree. I understand that if interest rates are high, things cost more, there's less money, less sort of spare money to sort of think about investing. What's going on here? I mean, this does look like a two-tiered channel to me. I've changed it. I've moved it. I had it cut in this, but we've had a break and a new low, and we still seem to be sort of inching down. But my kind of gut feeling tells me this is probably going to fill this gap at some point. But I don't know when. I mean, it is inching down. If you'd have taken that one there, it did push down. You're still in the game at the moment, but you could get stung here. I mean, really, the sensible thing to do when it's like this is just to sit tight, really. You know, you are taking a risk. The trouble is, you can keep moving this and keep moving it. Where do you draw the line? What I do like is the fact that it's very tempting, that is. Yeah, but same again, the bar's neutral again. Yeah, there's nothing you could do here, really. Give me tea. Yeah, it's not safe to do anything here, really, until we can get some sort of clarity on where it's going. See, I think the trouble is, it's very easy to assume everything's that gap's going to be filled. Now, it will be at some point, but whether it's today, but straight away you're seeing a big gap plus a big move up, clearly struggle to get higher. Naturally, your thought process is going to come down to fill that gap. But I try and avoid that to a degree because it's very easy to get, to start thinking one way on this in this business, and you've got to be open-minded that just because it looks like that might happen doesn't mean it's going to. Certainly, at some point it will, but yeah, I've made that mistake before. You get that focused on going a certain direction, and that's when the market is those algorithms are kind of designed to get people thinking that way. I mean, they're very clever how they work and how they've been programmed. They kind of get people thinking that way, and this thing can then turn. Trading lightweight now. Wait all day for that 1 or 2 really good setups, and it works really well for him. I remember him taking 3 or 4. Yeah. Do you know what, mate? I think you're absolutely right. That's what I try and do. There really is no rush to take a trade. If you see, I take 3 points now. If I take 3 points twice a week, that's $600 minus fees. That's per account. That's over 2,500 on average over a calendar month. So even if you lost a trade or two, even if you lost a couple of trades, that's still one hell of a good living per account. So it's very easy to just to get stuck into taking sort of mediocre trades, but you're really better off waiting for an absolute beauty. A really obvious one. The one when you see, you just can't get your finger on the button quick enough. But yeah, I think you learn after time. Less is definitely more. I know, but that's the thing sometimes, and I understand it, but, Mac marks lots of these different trades, and for newer trades, it's very easy to start thinking, why am I not seeing a dozen high probability trades a day? When, after the fact, it's easy to spot these, but in real time, they don't always look that appealing. Wow, look at that. We had that push-up and that quick drop. So there's definitely some sellers up here. I mean, that dropped about 2 points in a second. So this is interesting, because we've got a channel down here with a break. So when you have a break, you would normally expect a new extreme. Let's see what happens above this. But usually when I see that, it tells me there's a lot of sellers on there to push that market like that, but push that price like that rather. And the trouble is sometimes when you sort of see, I watch Thomas Wade, when you sort of around other traders and you hear a trader go, I took a short there, I took a long there, took a short there. It's very easy to get in your mind, why am I only taking 1, 2, 3 trades a week? And you seem to hear people taking trades every 5 minutes. What am I missing here? And sometimes that can add kind of a bit of peer pressure to you to be thinking, perhaps I should be taking some of these. And I've felt that myself sometimes in the past. Yeah. I felt in the past when I've seen some of you guys saying, oh, I just took a short there, I took a long there, got 4 points. And when you get that in your head, it's very easy to start thinking, oh, I'm missing out here. And you do then tend to wait for the next trade that looks semi-okay, and you jump in and you get stung. So really the best way to do it is just to wait till you see an absolute beauty. You know, I've copied other traders before. I did a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. There was I think we had a channel down here with a break, 2 legs up, and there was a second entry long. And I saw, I think Marco took it. Marco took it. Thomas Wade took it. Taylor took it. So I just thought they know better than me, so I took a short. And it turns out we had the tiniest of breaks and a new low, so loads of shorts got trapped. So you're really best off not copying anyone. All copying does is it stops you learning, really. You know, I'd say use other people just for extra confirmation that your thought process is in the ballpark. You know, if I've got a channel like that, you can look at your channel and kind of compare the two, and it just helps, gives you a little bit of support. You learn a few things from, you know, mixing with other traders. But yeah, it's very easy to feel that pressure for not taking a trade and end up getting into something you probably shouldn't have done. And I've done it myself. In fact, a couple of the trades I've copied them at, I actually didn't think the trade was that obvious. And it just goes to show, doesn't it? It doesn't necessarily mean they always know better than you. So this is interesting. There's a lower high there. This is really nice looking bearish. My only issue with that's just above that EMA. There's no room to the EMA. And that could be the fact that it's closed there. There could be a second entry long here. This thing could go up yet. It does look like there's a lot of pressure to push it down, but it could come down, make a new low, or it could push higher. It's very easy to get that focus on going short here when there might be a good long setup here. Second entry long, we may get another leg up, but the fact that we've had this channel with a break, ordinarily you'd expect a new low, but at the moment this has been ranging. Prices broke down here, pushed up strongly. Prices broke down here. So far, they look like they're pushing up. But we didn't get a second entry long there. It was a matching bottom, and by the time the bar's closed, there's no space left anyway. Really right in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me now. It doesn't affect me now. It used to. It used to, but no, it doesn't affect me now. What I didn't used to like, we don't get it anymore, is sometimes I get into a trade and you may get a couple of people saying, oh, I wouldn't take that, or that looks risky, or that looks bad. That's the worst thing to say when someone's in a trade. But I don't get that now. I used to. That was when I used to take crap trades. I mean, I've been streaming now nearly 2 years, but, you know, I haven't always been kind of this disciplined. You know, there was a time where I'd be taking half a dozen trades a day, and I'd sometimes have a bit of luck and that. But, you know, I didn't start trading as an experienced trader. I started trading as an inexperienced trader, just looking for some extra support. And the main reason I started trading was just to have a little bit of accountability. The way I figured it, if people were watching you, you were less likely to do something a bit too stupid. And it did work for the most. There's not many times people saw me melt down on live on screen, but it has happened. But it didn't happen as much as it probably would have done. And not only that, I do love chatting with other people. It gets pretty boring, then it's stuck in a room by yourself. And you do learn more, I think, mingling with other people. You know, you got people more experienced than me, you got people less experienced than me, so it is nice. There's a nice, you know, mingle of people, and I love chat with. Technology still blows me away that I can chat. I can chat with people the other side of the world. There is a second entry long here, but because of this channel with a break, you got to be careful here. having said that, I do believe that may have had a break, so I might have a long here. Because there is a lot of people. There'll be stops there, stops there. There will be a lot of people thinking this thing is definitely going down. Let's see how the bar finishes. No, it's finishing enough.
Order cancelled.
There's natural thought processes. This thing's going to come down. But sometimes if you think outside the box, it helps you. But also, there is a possibility that that is already at a break in a new low. So let's have a look at this. Sometimes thinking outside the box helps you out. So I think that is at a break and a new low. But the trouble is, it is starting to get more and more sideways now, so that does change things. So I'm sitting tight at the moment. Let's see if that's triggered. So is this going to come down now? So it's getting a little bit stacking up now, so I'm just sitting tight here. You draw a line. Hey Sean, how you doing, buddy? If you draw a line across the top, there's strong resistance there. When you say top, very tight range. Are you on about up here? Or are you on about here? Look. Are you on about along here? Hey Karina, how you doing? You're on about here. Yeah, I think that's what you mean. I can see that. What I will say, there's quite likely going to be a ton of liquidity above there. So I think there's a good chance this is going to break there. But having said that, because it is sideways at the moment, I am kind of being extra cautious. Wow. Trouble is, market can kind of trick you. Yeah, you can see that there. Market can kind of trick you. Push up. I mean, normally a pattern like this, push up, sideways, push up, you get kind of a mirror image. But the overall thing is price is pushing up, but it's struggling. And that tells me sometimes when it's struggling to go up, it can come down quite quick. So my other chart, I'll bring this in quickly. There is a second entry long there. And that's pushing up. So yeah, Taylor's in a trade there. He's just took that exact trade that I've seen on that other chart. Trouble is, he's already lost a trade today, I think. Let's have a look. Sure, Taylor took a trade earlier. I think it was, yeah, it was that one. He went long, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, oh no, that was something else, I think, but yeah. Trouble is, sometimes it gives you this kind of false sense of security that we're pushing up now, but I am aware that there's that gap there. So each time we're pushing, we're getting slowly getting lower. So, you know, when you have that feeling that this thing's going to just come tumbling down. Resistance is the 5 minute EMA. Yeah, you can see it right along there, can't you? Even back as far as here. Trouble is, sometimes it can do that. It can lead you into that false sense of security. Yeah, you can see it right back there, can't you? Well, maybe not far back, but certainly to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's definitely playing a part. We're above it now. There'll be some liquidity above there. We haven't broken above that yet, but this could be 1, 2, 3. This could be a triple test, actually. Fell break out the range, triple test, trapping some longs. Let's have a look. So, 1, 2, 3. Let's see if this breaks above there. Yeah, there is a second entry long. It's no good here. Better on my other bar. So that's what I mean. It's very easy to focus on coming down to fill that gap. And you get a few shorts in here or there, and all of a sudden up it goes. So it's a bit unclear. So, leg and a leg. That's interesting. I bet this is going to come rushing down. Leg and a leg. So look. It's kind of a possible fail breakout, isn't it? It's kind of a small risk as well. It's only 8 ticks. So you could call that a triple test. The trouble is, if that triple test was good enough, it would have come down a lot quicker than that. Just curious, do you continue trading after the stream? No, I finished, mate. I have my guardian angel set to 6 o'clock. Well, it's a bit early today. We in the UK, we've gone back an hour. So ordinarily, when we're in the same sort of timeline as you, I have my guardian angel to allow me to trade normally at 2:30. Well, 2:40 actually. I tend to miss the first 10 minutes and finish at 6. So that gives me about 3.5 hours. And then I'm done for the day. I've kind of worked out, based on my personality and the way I kind of trade, it's the best way to do it that way. Because so many times I used to come back, I used to be bored or something, I used to come back later, and it never seemed to go well. And I've spoken to a few other traders who kind of had the same way, so I thought the best reason is just to do me 3.5 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is, and then finish for the day. So it's quite intense, this. It can take a lot of concentration, so I tend to like around about the 3 hours. I think that's enough for me personally. I've talked to Marco about it. 3 hours is his maximum as well. In fact, most of the time, 2.5 hours, he's already posted his chart and he's done. Oops, sorry, it does take quite a bit of concentration, so it kind of works the 3 hour mark for me or thereabouts. I mean, if I get a trade in, I'll finish it a little bit early, maybe 2.5 hours, but you know, I didn't used to. There was times when I used to do 8 hours a day. For the first sort of, you know, year or two or whatever, I did 8 hours a day. Or I was working, when I was working before I started kind of spending more time doing this, I'd go out and work sort of from 7:30 to 4:30, and I'd trade for 4 hours at home in the evening. I did that for a while. And then I'd be sort of going back over a few days ago. I'd be clicking the right arrow and moving the chart over and trading that way. So yeah, I think it's good to do your trading and then get away from the chart. If you find you're getting that urge to come back, just set things like your guardian angel or stop you doing it that way. There's nothing you can do. You can't manipulate it. You can't change it. You can't delete it. It kind of locks you out. And the trouble is, when you're still relatively... I mean, I've been trading for nearly 4 years, so I'm still relatively inexperienced. And sometimes you do have that urge to come back and maybe try and, you know, try and do a bit more. But I think it's, for me personally, it doesn't tend to work well with me. So it just goes to show you, doesn't it, with this, the way it's struggling to get up. Sean were talking about this support a minute ago. You're thinking there's definitely support here. Going to trap some longs and come rocketing down and fill that gap. It's very easy to kind of get that one-way thinking. I've done it myself so many times. I try and keep an open mind now and just kind of trade on what I'm seeing and not kind of think too far ahead. But you know, I've been so convinced after a channel up with the break, this market's going higher, and I've done everything in my power to try and get into it. And sometimes when it's really struggling, it tends to trap a few trades, and all of a sudden rockets down. So I never kind of get. I always try and keep an open mind that things can change, and sometimes the slower this thing moves in one direction, the quicker it can come down in the other direction. So I'm always a little bit concern whenever I see this really struggling to go one way. I tend to stay out of a trade then. You really want to see, you know, kind of some nice generally fluid movement in one direction. Excuse the pun. So let's have a little look. So I'm assuming this is all-time highs. It must be. Oh, maybe not. Oh, there we go. There's my all-time highs thing up there. For some reason, it just keeps disappearing. Alt, extend right, apply. So we're still a ways away from it yet, are we? 580. Oh, we're not that far away. 27, 37, we're about 52 points away from it, so not a million miles. So we're getting to around about this same area. I mean, look at that. We've got 4 bars there. I bet that finishes close. Yeah, it's not a million miles away, is it? So it's, yeah, the trouble is, I mean, with this big gap and this big push up, I dare say around kind of this area, there's probably going to be some traders short in that, thinking down here, fill that gap. So whenever we get up here, we move down quite quickly. We did there. We pushed up and hit that level 4 times and still couldn't come down. We've been up once, come back a bit, had another go, pushed down, broke out this channel. So this area is definitely being protected. It doesn't mean that it won't push through, but you know, you kind of get the thinking that there's going to be traders sort of shorted in this area, thinking this is going to come down and fill that gap. But I've learned never to just assume things. So even that triple test, if you say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, something like that, 1, 2, 3, triple test, that'll have been shorts selling that, I don't doubt, but it triggers them, pushes up, it comes down a little bit more, but then turns. There was a second entry short there, which did work. But I was looking at it, but I didn't like the bar. It was kind of a tick off a doji. But push down, 1, 2, 3, triple test there. It did work. Came down here for 2, 4, probably 4 points, 5 points, something like that. So channel with the break. But I did want to pick another evaluation up. Yeah, have you noticed they've changed the old, what's it? I didn't do it over the weekend. They've changed that. Whether they're kind of trying to get away from the old one or not, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that one, ATF. It sounded like some sort of air traffic sort of logo, didn't it? I think it looks a bit better, though. Or whether they're trying to sort of get away from, well, the old Apex or whatever. It got a little bit of a bad name, didn't it? But I think they've kind of turned it around a little bit. The rules... I don't think the rules are bad at all. They have been a little bit complicated, I will say, but they're not bad. They're not terrible. You know, don't risk more than $750 on your account, which I think's a given anyway. If you're risking more than that, I don't think you're going to be around much for that account. And we all do that. We all blow them, but it is a sensible way to do it. If you've got a 2,500 drawdown, you're risking $750. You're risking 30% of it, which really, in the trading world, is a big no-no, really. So I don't think they're bad. They're just a bit different. But I think what they needed to do was just get some proper clarity so people understand, because they say, you know, you've got to trade sensibly. Well, what does that mean? One person's sensible might be completely different to another. So there's so much grey area and just not enough clarity. So hopefully with these new rules, if we adhere to them, it shouldn't be a problem. Then they can't stop saying, you know, start saying we can't pay you for whatever reason. Okay. So I've just picked myself another evaluation up. So we're definitely finding it difficult to get above this level. So I'm going to get rid of this now because we've only really had 2 touches of it. This pushed straight through, so I wouldn't necessarily say that was definitely a channel. This is operating more like a range. I would say it's more like that. 2 pushes up to a new higher retest. A failure that may have interested me, but it's hard. It's so hard to say. See, when you have a breakout like that, often we get one the opposite side, but we didn't. So we are clearly struggling to get up. In fact, I'll probably go as far as to say I actually kind of prefer that as my top. Yeah, that's much better. There, I like it there. It fits lovely there. Yeah, we've had a breakout there, but we've had one here. We had a breakout there, and we've had one here. So, although there's lots of breakouts, I actually don't mind that. Is that any better? That might be a better option. It's hard to say. And then I'd like to take that down a bit. Yeah, that's the trouble with these range days. I remember in Max saying he loves range days. They're dead simple. You short the top and buy the bottom. But the trouble is, every time we hit the top here, we're at different levels. So if you don't know what the top is, how can you short it? So we got a leg down. That didn't break above there. I think there's a good chance we have another leg down here. There's actually a failure on my other chart, but the bar's not brilliant. Here's my other chart. There's a lower high there and a failure there, but we're not really trapping anything. And that bar's a bit naff, so... So I am going to put this a line there as well, because I think that is an area to pay attention to. That could be, see, we've been up here up until now, but that is an area where it is turning, so maybe just this area here is more of a range now. There's low volatility, yeah. I mean, where did we open? It was 1:30, yeah, it is. 1:30 UK time, which is around here. So that's all we've had in an hour and 10 minutes, which is nothing really. But I don't know. You know, a lot of it could do. We got the what's in about a week, haven't we? The election's in a week, so that might be why it's going a bit sideways. Thing is, depending on, you know, how you're voting, which way you're swinging, you know, do you want to get involved and put money in the market? You know, you may want to hold off before you start investing. Obviously, there's not just traders that, you know, put money into this market. There's investors. So I don't know. I don't understand it all, to be honest with you. That's the thing about retail trading. You only sort of know a small amount of it. Yeah. So, yeah, you don't know how it's going to react, do you? What I will say is if Trump wins, I think that'll be good for crypto, because I think he went to the Bitcoin rally, didn't he? So, I mean, he's openly pro-Bitcoin. There is a second entry short here. Possibly. We got a channel down with a break. 2 attempts to go up. We are clearly struggling to get up there. But it's just not very clear, I don't think. Now, I did remove that channel, so I don't think the channel looked terrible, but we're supposed to hit it 3 times and confirm it, and we didn't really, although it visually looks okay, so it could push up to a new high, or it could trap traders thinking it's going to push up to a new high. So just have to sit tight here. Thing is, a second entry short, really, you'd really want it below that EMA. Is it? I think it's fourth, isn't it? Fourth, which is a week. Is it fourth or fifth? I can never remember. I know our bonfire night over here is the 5th, so maybe I've just got the 5th in my head. In fact, I'm just even wondering, I'm surprised. I'll be surprised if there is very little... well, I don't know. Maybe there will. Maybe there'll be a lot of I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think on election day there'll be a lot of trading, or do you think people will be sitting just watching? I think a lot of people are more be interested in just watching it as it kind of happens, rather than... Trouble is, you've got the day of voting, haven't you? So there's going to be a lot of people going out and voting. So that will kind of take people away from work and out the offices. So maybe you know, or obviously then I don't know how it works in the US. I've never paid this much attention to it. But obviously now I trade US markets, you know, you kind of, but I know how it works in the UK. You know, they tend to have voting sort of happens from around about 6 in the morning to about 10 UK time, and then we get the results that slowly from the count that come out throughout the night and the remainder of the following day. So I don't quite know how it happens so much. I wasn't trading the last time we had a US election, so I've never really paid too much attention to it. Not easy trading day, need patience. Yeah, we get loads of these days. I think that's the thing you kind of get reminded of a lot lately, that how important patience is. You know, we get drummed into us from an early age, don't we, when we're learning to trade, about patience is key. But and then, you know, lately we are getting so many days where it's just chopping up and down with no good setups, no clear direction. And you kind of do wonder that, you know, you've put all this time and effort and money into it, and there's no setups. You know what I mean? When you start to get to understand how price works, Thomas Wade's just put that back. As I say, I actually like the channel. It fits beautifully on the top. But we're supposed to hit it 3 times to confirm it. So we come from the bottom, we confirm it here. Well, we confirm it. We hit it here, and then we just push straight through it. So it's not really confirmed, but it does fit really nice. But whether I would... I mean, it's too late now. You know, I dare say there may have been a failure looking for here, but we're off and we're nearly at the top now, so it's irrelevant. But yeah, I just, you know, when I first started trading, I did 6 months of currency, and then I sort of found Mac, and I've been with Mac now for 3.5 years, trading Mac style, and I've put one hell of a lot of time and effort into it, and it's kind of been my whole life. It's the forefront of my mind always. Trading really isn't a job. It's kind of a lifestyle, and I don't know whether that's just me and you know, the way I tackle things. If I want to learn something, you know, I remember years ago I went for a stage of making bread, and I failed so many times, and what I did was I made one every single day until I got it right, so I could do it with my eyes shut. So if I want to do something, I tend to get a bit obsessive and just overdo everything. So it's always been sort of an obsession, a passion. I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with it, but I don't know whether that's just trading in general, but it does seem to me like one of those jobs that you can't always switch off and go home. And when I started, I remember, taking trades, and I was seeing, people like Marco and Daniel and that taking 2, 3, 4 trades a day. There seemed to be a lot more trades. And over the last sort of couple of years, they've all but faded out. But I keep reminding myself that if I go for 3 points, even 2 winning trades in a week would give me a really nice living. You obviously multiply that by multiple accounts. So, you don't have to trade every day. Sometimes you might have a couple of days without a trade. It's not a bad thing, but sometimes that lack of patience and emotions, although they're much more improved than they were, sometimes they still get to you. And then when you wait so hard and you work on your patience so much, sometimes something happens, you take an impulsive trade and it goes against you, and you kind of wonder what happened. So I don't think these emotions ever completely go away, but they get to the stage where they have no bearing, really. So there is a failure there. Now, my only concern with that failure is it's 1,000,000 miles. It's pushed up so far from that EMA. This could come down. We know we got a lot of support up here, so I would not want to go long there, because this could quite easily come down and trap that trade. So I tend to not have to think about it now. It just doesn't feel right to me. Sometimes when I get that feeling, it'll still work, but we know even in the worst setups, sometimes the worst setups still work. But that, to me, although it's come down and all but touched it by a tick and pushed up nice and strong, and you can guess there's probably going to be some shorts there, I'm not getting any urge to go long. It's just too far away. If that bottom of that main bar was sat on top of that EMA and the tail was below, then maybe I would. But at the moment, would I take it on an evaluation? Maybe. I definitely take more risky trades on evaluation, although I shouldn't really. I have got an evaluation now. In fact, let me just reset this. It has popped up. So I have got one if I want to trade something. Where's this going? In fact, what I might do is on my other chart here, I might open that evaluation. Let's go for 4 contracts, I think.
Order submitted. Order cancelled.
Okay. I'm going to trade this evaluation on this chart here. See if we can get something out of this. Okay, so there was a failure there, and we could have been trapping some shorts, but I didn't like it, and we're a tick of stopping that out. It's gone too far for me, really. As I say, if that bottom of that bar was sat on here, and I bought it here, they go up 2 points to where it is now, so it's gone too far for me. Now, whether it works or not is irrelevant, but so not sure about that. So we have got a leg up with a bit of sideways. So it may work, but I'd expect it to come down, stop that bar out first, and then have a second entry long. But the trouble is, it is clearly struggling to get up. So I'd probably stay out of this. So if it gets above there, then it break above there. We'll see. It is trying. There's definitely some liquidity up there. Yeah, it's clearly struggling, isn't it? So there's a second entry short there, which at the moment is holding. Although I wouldn't take a second entry short there with this thing looking like it's going to push up, but so there's certainly going to be some liquidity above this. So there was definitely some stops around there. I'm guessing probably for that one because of the failure as it broke below there. It's a couple of, well, a point by the looks of things. The ATR is relatively low today. So if you took that failure, it triggered you. You didn't quite get what you was hoping for, a break above there, and then it came down and quick popping at your stops. Now look at this now, look. Big push back up. Very tempting to go long there, but not on a So we had a break of it, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. Is this thing going to fail? Come down. See, I don't understand. There's someone I'm looking at on Thomas Way's Discord. Trading Max system said he's got 3-0 on the CL on oil and one trade on the ES. So he's taken 4 trades, 4 winning trades today. How? Where?
Order
I'm going to
filled.
take a risky trade here on the on an evaluation. This has had multiple chances to go up, so I'm just taking a short here. A lower high on the other chart on an evaluation. So we'll see how we get on. So this trade here, I dare say there's going to be that higher low. Mind you, that may be protected. It's just on the valuation here. There was a lower high there. Mind you, my only slight concern is we've got a channel up, one attempt to go lower, second attempt to go lower, failure, so I may get out of this for a bit. In fact, yeah, this is going to work, I think.
Order filled. Target filled.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, it worked to treat that one. So nice there. I thought it was going to break below there, so I added another 4 contracts to it. So I got a quick $750 there on that evaluation. So I thought there was a fair chance it was going to break below there. My only slight concern is we've got a channel up, one attempt to go lower, second attempt to go lower. Is this going to fail like a penguin style trading and rock it up? Not sure. So I just wanted to get out below that where I thought it did that, pick up that liquidity. So, but to me, it is looking like it. In fact,
Order filled.
this is coming down, isn't it? This is. Come on.
Target filled.
Yeah, I just got another $500 on there as well. I just jumped in here. It just pushed down some more. It's heading for the lows, this is now, I think. So there's a quick $1,250 up on that evaluation. Yeah, this is coming down, isn't it? I think. Well, certainly to the bottom. So we had a check. Whether we had that channel, we made 2 attempts to go higher. We just couldn't get above there, and then this thing came tumbling down. So I trade my evaluations on my gut feeling, and my gut feeling this was going to fall below there. Once it fell below there, second entry long, I know I got a crap bar there, but on the other trade it was a good bar, so I thought there was a fair chance that was going to push below there, so I just dropped in an order here, and it worked straight away quickly. So it worked nice at that lower high, so clearly couldn't get up here. We had multiple attempts, and I just dropped one in below that lower high and got out here. And then when that came back and started pushing again, there's going to be stops here, so I just dropped it in here, and it worked within a second. So I tend to treat these with a gut feeling. and I seem to do okay on them actually. And you might say, why don't you do that with the PA accounts? But it's just not quite work the same, really, does it? Strangely enough. So. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so whether it was a channel or not, we had a break. We just could not get up. We tried a couple of times and then the thing came tumbling down. So let's have a look.
Order filled. Order filled.
Come on, push that. Come on, push down. Wow. Hopefully this will trigger and stop out, I think, hopefully. I've gone in short again on this. What's it? Is it going to go against me? No, you don't want to either. It's just my one evaluation. I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, I just went short on this one. It ain't going well. It's aggressive. I just saw that stop. I thought this was going to come rushing down. I may even lose this account. I don't mind trading these aggressively. I tend to have a kind of a 50-50 win rate on them, but I don't mind that. That's like paying 2 to get an evaluation. We've clearly struggled. I think this is going to drop a bit lower. I hope it is anyway. Let's see. Yeah, don't copy me, will you, when I'm trading these evaluations. I do trade them aggressively. I lose 50% of them. But I don't mind. That's the equivalent of just paying for 2 and passing one of them. So £25 each, I think they are, and about £65 for the PA fees. It's like about £115. I wouldn't normally trade this aggressively. I only do it because it's kind of you can pass them in a day. So I'm hoping this is going to come down and stop that out. It will turn. Yeah, I don't see for £25. If I win every other one, I don't mind. It cost me £50 UK. So I don't mind. That's just like paying £50 for 2 of them and then £65 for a. This may go up a bit higher, but I got enough liquidity there as long as it doesn't go much above this. Mind you, it could go to the top. There's always a possibility, but I think this thing is erring on the side of short, so I'll see. What's left now? No, this is going to kill this account now. One more ticking amount. Yeah, hopefully. Could be a second entry short here. We'll see. See, there is a second entry short here, but I don't know whether I'd want to go short because technically on my PA accounts, because technically we've already had a break in a new low, so it could trigger you and push up. So I'm staying out of this. On my accounts anyway, I think my this eval is going to blow in a minute, I think, if it goes up any higher. But look where we've bounced quite big and strong. We've already had a break in a new low, so I think there's more chance that's going to go up. Okay, so there is a second entry short. It's relatively bearish. If this comes down, it'll work for me, but I have a feeling it won't. Or maybe it will. If this comes down below there, we'll be okay. But there is a second entry short there. It could push up. We'll see. I think it might do. See, on my other chart, it hasn't had a break. So, see if we get a lower high here. There's a failure there, which is triggered. So if this comes down below there, my guess is it's going to come down below there. If it doesn't and pushes up above this, it'll go up. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Good to be back. It's nice to have a break. I had a few jobs to do around the house and that. It is nice to take a time off. As I say, I haven't had any time off since last Christmas. Last Christmas was a time I had any time off, obviously, apart from the odd bank holiday. But it's nice to just get away from the charts and not look at a chart. I did have a little glance at a couple of people who were trading, just to see what they'd done in the day. That was sort of more evening time. So leg up and a leg up. See how high we get here. It can't go much further, otherwise I'm screwed on my evaluation. But I'm not worried about that. It's only one single evaluation. on that chart. But yeah, it's nice to take some time off. I am going to take all of Christmas off again. I was looking at the dates for Christmas last night. I think I'll trade the Monday, which is, I think, is the 22nd or 23rd, but I'm guessing it's just going to die off there. So this needs to come down now. If it gets above here, it's too late on my evaluation. I'd say it's almost definitely going to hit that. Let's see. Come on, drop. Come on. Drop, 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 drop. It's going to break that for sure. As soon as it does, that's that evaluation done, I think. Yeah, it's done now.
Order filled.
Done. So, still possibly a couple of legs up. It's definitely not the easiest day, is it? Ah. So, we came down here, bounced up to the middle and came back down. We've done the same. We got a channel down with two legs up. Finding some resistance there. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break, make a cup of tea. I'm not sure what it's going to put down at the moment, so I'm going to leave it like that. Quickly drop that in there. And I will leave you to it. Quick cup of tea, and I'll be back around about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. Let's have a look. What have I missed? Not a lot, really. Okay, so we had a couple of legs up and it did work. So let's get rid of that. So we've got a channel down, 2 legs up. Trouble is, it's easy to think that we're going to do this, and we could well. But at the moment, it's going sideways, and every time we've come down here, with the exception of this time, we've bounced and pushed up. So really, that rules out any type of short here, because there's not a lot of space left. We got nothing anyway, really. See, on this chart, we got a channel down with a break at a new low, but my other chart, it doesn't quite look like that. I've gone from the top there to the top there. Works here, and we've just had 2 legs up. And we're kind of looking for a lower high here, but we've got nothing really. But it is just whipping up and down. There's loads of traps. So it's easy to get focused on that gap. Because we could, I mean, we've had that big jump up and a strong push up. We could go sideways and we could go up for another leg. You just don't know. There's always a possibility we could end up doing something like that and coming up and testing these eyes. You just don't know, really. So just learn over time to try and keep an open mind and not get too focused on aiming in a certain direction. Especially when it's clearly whipping up and down. So what I will say is there will definitely be some liquidity below that big bullish bar. Channel break new low, 2 legs up, but this is coming back dangerously low to that. So 2 legs up, back to the EMA would be normal if we were going to continue up, but we've pushed through the EMA, so my gut feeling is that bar there is vulnerable. Not that I would take a trade here or anything just yet. Channel break. But it could come down here, bounce at this level, bounce here and push up. You just don't know. It's hard at the moment when it's whipping up and down. I mean, the thing is, depending on kind of what strategy you use, we're waiting for certain setups, but we know these key areas is where the buying and selling is going on. And, you know, this area there, a lot of traders, when it comes into this area, will just buy it and take it out. So if you bought it here, you got some profits. If you bought it here, you may be holding on up to the top, but a lot of traders will kind of do that and vice versa, you know, with the top, although we haven't been up here really lately, but and they kind of just buy regardless of what it looks like so much, just about where it is. Whereas we not only wait for an indication we're going in a certain direction, is we wait for a signal bar as well. You know, so for instance here, this chart, some traders might just put a buy order down here and then a buy order here and try and ride it up, but we wait for it to stop there and for a certain signal bar. So our setups are quite precise, you know, whereas a lot of traders may just put buy orders here and wait for a price to come down. It doesn't necessarily matter what it does then. Obviously, hopefully being pushing up towards the top where they can take profits, but we actually wait for it to bounce in a certain area and give us something bullish. So our strategy is quite precise. Yes, I keep seeing messages like this, still waiting for that big drop to fill the open gap. It's very easy to get focused like that it's definitely going down and constantly looking for a way down. But I think I've learned, just don't assume it's going to do that. It will at some point, but whether it is today, it's very easy to get focused on a certain direction. How many PAs do I trade at a time? I've just got 3 at the moment. I had 4, I lost 1, so I've just got 3 at the moment. So I trade all 3 of them. I have had up to 20 at a time, but I don't know, sometimes my experience of trading, having 20 accounts, it's just a bit too much. There's a lot more to worry about losing 20 accounts than there is 3. Mr. Balls, I hope all's well. It is, thank you. Likewise to you as well. I'm okay at the moment. I'm in a good place. There is a few stresses at home. My daughter's got ADHD. And her behaviour can be quite difficult and incredibly bloody stressful at times. Okay, so it did get eaten that 2 legs up. So it makes things hard, to be honest with you. It makes trading quite difficult at times. So I have to kind of deal with that. And, you know, being stressed and that, having certain things going on in your life we know can have a bit of an adverse effect. So it's definitely made it a bit more difficult from times. But yeah, altogether a Replicanto, yeah. To be honest with you, I started off about 2 years ago, maybe just under, with the Apex one, and I just had nothing but trouble with it from day one. And then I got Replicanto, and I got to say, it's been absolutely brilliant. Trouble is, trading's stressful enough as it is, without having, you know, trying to wait for good setups. You've got to work on your patience and your emotions and all that without having to worry about, you know, your equipment malfunctioning. But that is the one bit of software I've had no problems with. And I will say as well, Rhythmic's been spot on lately. I've heard of no issues with Rhythmic at one point, going back, what, 3 to 5 months? Just every day, every other day, we're hearing stories about people losing accounts, and you just don't want it. But that's been my little saving grace that has Replicanto. So if you are after a trade copier, I can't recommend that enough. I just literally have never had an issue with it. And they do update it all the time. Absolutely. So just quickly, we've got a channel, 2 legs up, 2 pushes down to a new low. You may consider going long here. I don't think it's a terrible trade. My only concern with this is, at the moment, if you look at the tops, they are getting lower and lower. So my concern is this thing is starting to do this. So I would avoid that personally. Now, a trade like that, you might think normally wouldn't be that bad in a straightforward range. Channel, break, 2 pushes up, 2 pushes down to a new low. But this thing is obviously, we are aware of this. I'm not trying to get too focused on this, but we do know we've had that gap up. So we do know there's a good chance that's going to get filled. So... Yeah, I just, Apex, I mean, they have upgraded to a new one, but the thing is, I'm not pleased with Replicanto. There's no point in trade. You don't replace what isn't broken, do you? So it works perfectly well for me. Michael T, how you doing, buddy? Why don't you just use the Ninja Trader broker? To be honest with you, it's so much better trading with prop firm accounts than it is your own account. Now, I've been trading coming up 4 years. Now, I have made money at trading for sure. Not a huge amount. I have more than broken even. But I still have issues with emotions. My skill at trading is not too bad. So if you did take that one, triggered you, got stuffed. I still have issues from time to time, but, you know, trading doesn't happen overnight. It does take time. So I kind of like the fact that I can pay $35 for an evaluation and $85 for a live account where I've got $2,500 worth of drawdown I can play with, as opposed to my own account. I'd be risking $2,500. So it kind of works for me. I like it at the moment. Now, at some point in the future, you know, when my skill levels improve some more and my emotion, I'm a lot more in control of my emotions, which is getting close. At that point, I will start to put some money into my own account and start to work on that. I think it's a natural progression. But at the moment, Michael, you know, when you got that little voice inside that, do I completely trust myself? Am I in 100% control of my emotions? I'd say I'm probably 85% there. So just from that safety point of view at the moment, I'm just going to sort of, yeah, hold tight a minute. You know what I'm saying? So I have moved that range bottom down a little bit. You're welcome, mate, anytime. Anytime. Just again, quickly, I talk to a lot of you guys outside trading, so if any of you guys want to private message me or email me, you just want to chat, I chat to a bunch of you. I chat to Sean from time to time. I chat to Karina from time to time. I chat to Tony quite regularly. Philip, I think I've chatted to you, Speedy, Jay. I chat to a lot here. You know, my sort of line's always open if you ever want to chat. Just private message me morning, noon and night. I'm happy to talk trading. So, you know, if you ever got something on your mind or you got any questions or you just, I don't know, you're fed up, you're bored and want to talk trading, you can message me at any time. I mean that. The guys I talk to regularly, they'll tell you I'll always answer. I'm happy to. I'm not one of these ones that walks away from the chart and doesn't want anything to do with anybody. I'm happy to talk. I get quite obsessive about trading anyway, so much to the detriment of my wife, but I'm happy to chat trading anytime. So if ever you guys want to natter about something far away, where's my mail? It's actually in my. I'll put it down. There you go. That's my mail. Or I'm on Facebook as well. You can message me. I'm in the. You'll get my details from the Facebook group. We got a little Facebook group building, and the What's It one as well. I haven't posted it. Sorry. And there's a couple of Facebook groups. So I've got one which I open just for us to have a bit of a private chat. Let me have a look. Groups, that one, so we can have a natter in there. Or there is a where is it? This one as well. We chat in this black and white daily, so you can get hold of me anytime there. So I'm always happy to chat. Always happy to talk. Kev, no issues. Yeah, absolutely. Rhythmic's been great, isn't it? Because it was getting to the time where every day we were in about people losing accounts, and I'm thinking, how can you trade like that? I mean, it's bad enough worrying about losing trades without worrying about accounts blowing from no fault of your own. But I am pleased to say that I've heard of no issues with Rhythmic now for, it's got to be a couple of 3 months. Apex, whatever they've done, they've obviously updated something or changed something, but I'm guessing it's something of their doing. So Apex is slowly getting back to where they were, I think, as kind of the number one prop firm. There are others out there. I like Apex. That I've never had any issues with them, and I kind of sort of, if it ain't broken, don't try and fix it. But, you know, they've had issues with rule changes and stuff like this. I think the simple answer is they grew that quick. They just couldn't cope, and it was a bit detrimental, to them. But they do seem to be pulling themselves out the water a little bit. So it is kind of looking like it might tumble, this thing, but we've been down here before and then it pushed up and again, and we had 2 legs up. I did consider a short there. There'd have been something bearish, channel down with 2 pushes up. Often that then leads to breaking this low, but I stayed out of it. I am aware of this gap and I know it can just start to drop and fill. I'd say if we do push below there, then I'd say it's probably likely going to start to work down in some fashion or another. It may come down and push up and then come down and push up and eventually fill it. But I'm not just focusing on shorts. I do know at the moment it is still working sideways. See, I had the bottom around about here somewhere. It was around about there, I think. And there was a channel with a little break there, big bullish bar, which did work. And then that came down and stopped that out. So for me, it does look like it's working its way down. Once it clears a lot of this, it may just start to drop a bit quicker. So we got a leg down, 2 legs up, 2 legs down. We got very close to this measured leg, whether we'll push through it or not. I mean, every time we've hit this top, it has been progressively lower. So my gut feeling is starting to work. Okay, that's interesting. So that channel's working nice. Interesting how it comes down there. So we've got a touch there. Perfect. Look how that's dropped below there and it's got a perfect sitting on there. So just goes to show you, sometimes you think there's so much randomness in this market and we could have been further from the truth. Still blows my mind how accurate this thing can be. So my guess is now it's cleared out any liquidity here. There's obviously buying here, isn't there? So I think this thing will probably work its way down. I'd expect it to kind of push up, make a few attempts to push up, maybe try and get back into the meat of this. But then if it drops again, then I'm guessing we're going to be working down towards this. So accurate that I am trading 10 contracts. Got you. 10 contracts. How you doing, John? I'm assuming you're on the eval, aren't you? I wouldn't have the nerve to do it. Otherwise, yeah. I do trade 10 contracts from time to time. The trouble is you haven't got a lot of room for manoeuvre, have you? But it's kind of nice to get. The thing is, when they offer you 1 day to pass and you can be on a live account tomorrow, it's very tempting just to sort of get in there, do it. But yeah, okay, let's see. I'd like to make some attempts to push higher. And then if we can sort of come into contact with this area, we know there's some support there and this channel down there. So if we can get into this area somehow, then I think there's a good chance we continue down. But yeah, it's amazing really how accurate this thing can be. You know, you can push up from here to here and then again, and you can literally hit it to the tick and measure the leg. It blows my mind actually, because there's obviously traders up there taking profits or shorting right at that area, but it does take a lot of nerve to hold and hold and hold until you get to an area. You tend to think that your natural instinct will be to get out a little bit earlier, but it just goes to show how accurate these things. It still blows my mind. Good to see you, but thanks, mate. I just needed a break. I was struggling sort of emotionally a bit. I hadn't had time off since Christmas, and it's very easy to mask it, isn't it, and think, oh, you know, it's not easy, it takes time, blah, 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 but I think it is important. I used the blah, blah, blah there, Karina. It's very easy to just keep coming back. You have to get away. You have to take a break. And I'd never really took many breaks, to be honest with you, since I started. And I took off last Christmas about 11 days in a row. And I came back and I felt great. I really felt refreshed. And that's kind of the first real sort of real break I'd had. And I think you can just tell how you feel, can't you? So it is important to get away. And Mac does regularly, doesn't he? Goes away on a fishing trip for a week. It is good to get away from the charts because they can fry your brain from time to time. So it'd be nice to have a leg up and a leg up and get to somewhere around about here. If we can get to somewhere around about here, leg in and leg up, somewhere around about there. That might be a nice place to drop. Definitely going to be one of those days today, but it's a great lesson in patience. As we know, patience plays a massive role. I don't know how many times going back a year or two. If you look back some of my older videos, I sit here with the patience of a saint for 3 hours, and in the last 5 minutes, just do something stupid. But you have to get used to. You know, I used to sit here and think, I can't not take a trade, I've got to take something. But now, if I sit here for 3 or 4 hours and I don't take a trade, as far as I'm concerned, I give myself a pat on the back. Because you can really only take what the market offers you, nothing more, nothing less. You can't force trades. As soon as you start forcing them, market shafts you. So it'd be nice to get a break here and then another leg up to this area. Hopefully then we may trap some longs and this thing may come tumbling down some more. If we can get a short here, it may interest me. Put his great help in. What's sitting there? Absolutely. I tell you what I used to do. How old am I? That's rude to ask a gentleman his age. I'm actually 55. I sort of came in at trading late. I used to do something. What got me into trading is I used to do something, as you know, from the UK. I used to do something called matched betting, and there's a few companies that provide the software. And what you basically do, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but it's a way of kind of manipulating the free bets that the bookmakers give you. So, for instance, Betfred or Coral, I don't know about you US guys, whether you know those names, but they say, you know, bet £10 your own money and we'll give you a £50 free bet. And you kind of use a bet in exchange, and you bet for a team to win or for a horse to win or whatever, and you bet against it as well. So effectively one cancels out the other. You don't really win or lose. And then you get the free bet, so then you use a different calculation and you can get around about 75% the profit of that free bet. And I did that for a couple of years. You don't make a lot, but whatever you make, it's tax-free. I think I made about 8 or 10,000 over a couple of years. But it's good for a bit of part-time money. And after a while, the bookmakers then stop sending you offers. They realise you're only taking bets when you get the offers. And then I heard people talking about Betfair trading, where you would be sort of trading sports bets, which, I don't know, just, you know, they said you need to know a little bit about horse racing and stuff like that, and just bored the arse off me that. And that's kind of, once I started YouTubing it, you mentioned trading, you get a whole host of videos on trading. So we've got a little channel up here. If we can get a break and a new high, we may get into this. I kind of like this intersection between the top of the channel and this line of support here. So if we can get something here, do you think trading is a form of gambling? It's an interesting question, that, Kev. There are times when I thought it is and times where I thought it isn't. Some people will swear blind it isn't. But if you look at the definition of gambling, is it's making a bet on an outcome that you can win or lose. So trading really is that. Now, obviously, you've got an edge in trading, but some will argue you've got an edge in gambling. I dare say there's some professionals out there which are an absolute mad keen horse racing fans who've loved horses from day one, and they can be pretty accurate to a degree. So what I will say is, with the price of some of these evaluations, where we've had them at 90% off and you're paying $15, $14 or $15, it's very easy to get into it like you're gambling and you take risks. Now, I'd say most of us have done that. I certainly have. And I have had to ask myself the question, am I gambling here? But I think the simple answer is the less you're risking, kind of the less careful you'll go. You know, if you, I don't know, the Grand National here once a year in the UK, if you put $5 or £5 on the Grand National, you'll walk away and carry on the rest of the day and you won't pay any attention to it till later. But if you put £500 or dollars on there, then that's a different story. So it's very easy to get into that mentality of what that's considered as gambling, as taking a kind of 50-50 risk. And you do have to ask yourself that question, am I doing it? And I think there are times where I think I've got into trades to try and get lucky, maybe because of the bit of a buzz you get, although it's not a nice buzz, but I believe it can be quite addictive. So I think you have to be aware of that. Now, I've never been a gambler. It's never interested me in the slightest. I've never done it. But if you are a gambler and you have had problems with gambling, I'd say trading can be pretty dangerous. For everyone, some are better than others, yeah. I mean, there's bound to be some massive horse racing fans which got more chance of winning a bet than me, who might walk into a bookmaker's one day a year on the day of the Grand National and have £5 on something. I dare say there are people out there who are professional gamblers. Well, I know there are. But obviously with trading, you know, trading is considered a professional career, you know, done by quite educated, not that you need to be, but, you know, you tend to think people who work in banks and investment groups are quite educated people. You know, the likes of people you might not see in a bookmaker's gambling. So I think there's arguments to say it is gambling. Absolutely, yeah. I think there's arguments that I think it is a form of gambling. Yeah, it may be the simplest form of gambling. You're betting on an outcome which you could lose. So it's a tough one, really. But you have to keep on top of yourself. It's very easy to fall into that. It's very easy to fall into that thing and be taking stupid risks. It really is. There are times where I've thought, ooh, you know, when they have those 90%, I'm just buying them and just trying to get lucky on them. So, yeah, I definitely think we all may experience that feeling. Are we gambling here? And if you look at on YouTube, and I've researched it, there are loads of videos that say start trading, stop gambling. So the trouble is, you know, when you're in a trade, there is a certain amount of, you win a trade, there's probably a certain amount of feel-good chemicals that are flown around that your body kind of wants more of. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but it's definitely a form of gambling, really. I think I would say so. You can be a poker. Yeah, absolutely. See, poker's, you are still gambling, but there are professional poker players that do incredibly well. That's what I mean with gambling. There are people who make money at it. I'd say they're few and far between, but they are out there. You know, we know some fantastic poker players. I remember when poker started to become big in the UK, maybe 15 or 18 years ago, and I started watching it a little bit, and everyone got a poker set for Christmas. You know, that little metal box with all the counters, and you'd meet up with your mates and smoke the biggest, fattest, most expensive cigars that make you feel sick. And, you know, everyone went through that phase. I don't think I was very good at it. But you kind of like to feel you think you are. But yeah, you know, there are people who work hard and do well out of it. But I think if you've got a passion for things like horse racing, I think you can certainly make some money out of it. Yeah, I mean, if you look up gambling, it probably says something on the lines of taking a bet or risking some money on an outcome where you may win or lose. So yeah, you could say it's trading, but I think if you look into the nuts and bolts of trading, it's done by profession. You know, it's done by banks and investment places, by sort of you would consider highly educated people. That you know, some people who you know. So yeah, there's definitely an edge to it. Absolutely, yeah. It is a chance. I mean, there's a risk in anything you do, really. I mean, if I'm a bricklayer and I'm going to build a house and I'm, you know, I don't put wall ties in properly, things can fall down. You know, there's risk to a certain thing. You know, there's risk when you cross the road that you might not make it to the other side. But it's a calculated risk, and that's what trading is. As you get more experience, it is a calculated risk. But when you are experienced at it, a risk that, you know, you can clearly make money out of. I mean, even things like your pensions, you know, when you get your wages at the end of the month and your pension goes into account, a lot of that is at risk. Companies, you know, we've all heard of companies in the past that have gone bust or bankrupt, you know, when they've got billions of people's retirement pension pots. So there's a certain amount of risk to anything, really. But it's calculating that risk, isn't it? I mean, if you look now, when I was a bit younger, I went for a stage of doing a little bit of skydiving. And, you know, more people die of fishing than they do skydiving. And you wouldn't, you know, obviously there's a lot more people, but you wouldn't assume that fishing could be dangerous in any way, really. But sitting on a riverbank, there is a certain amount of risk to it. The thing is, really, if you look at this, what we're studying is human behaviour. And human beings are creatures of habit. You know, they'll try something a couple of times. And if you can't do it, they might give up and try something else. So there are patterns in human behaviour that we do notice. You know, they'll, like, when we take a failure, we go up there, we make one more attempt, and then we'll have one more go, and then we'll think, no, we'll take our money out, and then price comes down. So there is, human behaviour is noticeable, but yeah, everyone's got their own opinion, absolutely. Makes you feel, yeah. You know, I see the argument from both sides. I can say, yeah, it is a form of gambling, yeah, because you are taking, if you look at gambling in its raw, you know, simply explained as taking, risking money or whatever on an outcome that could win you money or lose you money. But, I mean, you could say that about a business then, couldn't you? Theoretically, you invest a lot of money in a business, it could go south and lose you a load of money. So, you know, running a business, starting a business is a form of a gamble. Gentlemen call it speculation. Absolutely. Yeah, but we know you can make money out of these. If you know, you obviously need a strategy, you know, a place where you enter and exit, and a reason for it. And then you need to be able to, you know, it's surprising that trading is as hard as it is. Because when you've been trading, there's certain strategy for a year or two or something like that. You know what a good trade looks like. So it sounds simple that you wait for that and enter the trade. But with kind of the mindset side of trading, they say 20% skill, 80% mindset, you know, whether you agree with that or not. But mindset is a massive part. You know, it's kind of like saying that I'm going to start my diet tomorrow when you've just golloped down, you know, a Big Mac and chips. You know, it's easy to say that, but when the thing happens, you know, it's kind of a different story. Whichever makes you sleep at night. Yeah. But yeah, it's not easy trading. It's not. You know, we've heard Mac say it's a skill 1,000 times, and you don't realise it until you've been doing it a few years and realise how bloody hard it is. But I've never liked working for anybody else. You know, I've worked for certain companies in my life, and half the time don't get me wrong, I've worked for some great people. But half the time, they just tell you, they fill you full of crap, tell you what they want to hear so you can make them a load of money. I worked for an oil company for a while. And I had a business sort of around about the middle, about 2005, I had a business. And it was sort of leading up to the 2008 credit crunch. And I was struggling. I didn't know what the hell to do. And a friend of mine who just came out of the Royal Marines, anyway, mate, get yourself an HGV license. They're screaming out for drivers. It's good money. So I did. So then I jumped straight into work. And I worked for an oil company for about 11 years. And on every notice board throughout that building, there was signs about equality this and equality that. And then come Christmas, all the managers in the various different departments and their wives got taken to, I think, Birmingham or Manchester, where they got put up in a nice hotel. They got taken up for a slap-up meal. And that's their partners as well. And everything was paid for. And the workers, the drivers and the lads, you know, working, you know, in the building, got nothing. They had to sort of arrange their own and pay for everything. That's not equality to me. They used to have these meetings. We want to try and do this. We've all got to work hard to make the company. People just tell you what you want to hear. And all they want to do is just give you the minimum out possible, and you're just a tool to them. So I've never liked working for other people. Don't get me wrong. I'm an hard worker. If I want to learn something, I'll move heaven and earth to learn it. I've always had that kind of mentality. If I want something bad enough, most of the time I'll figure out a way to get it. But there's just nothing. I could see all through that crap that these companies are telling you, you know, we want to do this, we want to do that. Everything's going to be better. Everything's going to be better for you. Everything's going to be better for us. It's all a load of bullshit, I thought. But I have worked for some great people who do appreciate you and value. But But yeah, you can't beat sort of doing stuff for yourself, because you know all your hard work and dedication is going to, you know, directly help you and your family. So this thing is slowly working down. So what I will say is, if we can get a second entry short somewhere around about here, I was hoping we would get to around about here. 2 legs down. If we get 2 legs up, I had that little circle around about here, this intersection. If we can get somewhere here, I may have a go at that, because we've broken below all this. We've pushed back in and we've pushed down again. So my gut feeling is this is going to keep working down. Go on, push up. So, leg and a leg, hopefully a leg and a leg. We have retested this underside, mind you. We've retested this once and again. If we can push up here and get a triple test, we may get something yet. What time is it? 4 o'clock, so I've been going for nearly 2.5 hours. I like the indicator on the candle telling you that size. That there, I bet you'll never guess what that indicator's called. Bar size counter. You'd never guess that. If you are interested in that, it's free. Over there, ticktech.com, TICKTEC.com. It's free. It's just called bar size counter, but it does tell you the current bar size. So I don't tend to use it as much now. I like to know, but if I see a good enough setup, most of the time I'll take it anyway. That's a good name, Lance. How you doing? Second entry short, triple top, 15. That was a nice trade. You're looking about here, aren't you? That one there. Yeah. We have actually had a small break, haven't we? I'm just, you know, when it pushes back in here and you just think, are we going to push up a bit higher? I was kind of hoping we'd get up to about here, this kind of intersection. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade. Pushes up. The trouble is, you could say, see, if you look at Thomas Wade's, I've got that as a small break, but he's got that as fitted in that channel. So normally, if it's in a channel, you wouldn't ordinarily take it. Having said that, on mine, and I've gone from here to here, that to me is a break. And technically there's a second entry short. So if I was looking to short here, I would probably personally look for the lower high. But at the moment, I'm just a little bit uncertain. It's very easy to get focused. This is coming down to fill that gap. And at some point it will. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, bud, you know, your charts can vary a little bit from time to time. So as I say, Thomas Wade's got that fitting perfectly. I've gone from here to here, and it's clearly had a little break. I think it's always good to trigger above it and then come down, because if you've got traders going long here back into the meat of this channel, they're going to get trapped. And then we had 2 legs down. But I'll put that little circle back. It was around about here. I wanted to try and get into this area somewhere where there's this intersection between this channel down and this support line here. So we may get a second entry short here yet. So let's have a look. I just want to go a little bit higher. 1, 2, 3. The trouble is, taking a second entry short there, it's gone a bit lower because it could trigger you and come back up here. And I'd like 2 legs really. If we can get to this area, then that would interest me, taking a short, because this channel is looking nice. It's fitting really nice at the bottom. Fitting nice here, nice touch here, fitting nice here. We're a tick away here. So 2 pushes up. If we can get to that area, that would interest me. So we've had a leg down, 2 legs down, 2 legs up. But we need to get quite a bit higher, really. So let me just look on my other chart. Right, okay, so on this chart, what is this? It's 106. So on this other chart, look at this. It's fitting slightly different. So it'd be interesting to see what we get here. I want to break above there, though. I'm just going to get an order ready.
Order
just in
submitted.
Case. No, it hasn't closed below there. Still above that EMA on the other chart.
Order
So I'm gonna leave
cancelled.
that. I'd like to break above there. Leg and a leg. We've broken above there. Hopefully that's exactly where I wanted to get. So let's see how this looks. So leg and leg, leg and leg. This needs to come nice and bearish. We can get rid of this now. So we 1, 2, 3. Let me get an order ready.
Order submitted. No, that's no good, unfortunately. Yeah, see, there are some traders who just may sell here as soon as it gets back to there, as soon as price gets back to there. But we wait for a signal bar, leg and a leg. It may still just come down. But interesting to see if it gets above there. See, there's always the possibility that this is going to pull back into here and that'll just be a failed breakout. That's what I mean. Although we got a channel down there, it's very easy to get focused on short to fill that gap. And it may come back up to the top here and come down a few more times before it starts to work down. So it's we need something to close below that EMA. See, we got a channel down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. So that could be like a penguin style trade. So channel, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. But it needs to close below that EMA, really. Trapping some longs. It has triggered that bar there, so that's something. Okay, so there'll be some liquidity above that, I think. Let's see how close it gets to that. See, on this chart, it kind of looks like 1, 2, 3. It looks like a triple test. It is a second entry short. I just don't like the way we've had multiple bars pushing up. Maybe it's just retesting this area. Let's just see how far this goes. Okay, so that's broken above that. Shorted at 5866. Shorted there, did you? Hopefully, triple test. We've kind of had two legs down, a retest to this, a break, push and push. Trouble is, although we got a downtrend, we are ranging, so sometimes, even though we're pushing down, price can just turn and push up. Crosshairs. Dear. I used to be able to do it on two. I find it just does me head in after a while, mate. You just have a pointy tool, do you? Where is it anyway? How do you change it? Can't change it now. I used to have a bit of software. If I just click that sort of the roller, it used to work. Oh, there it is, isn't it? Let's have a look at that. You're on about with that. That fries me head, that does me. I can keep it on there for so long. It's nice to have it at the click of a button. Yeah, I used to have this to just, the middle roller. And if I used to click that, it just brings it up. So, yeah, it's useful to have it, but it just fried my head after a while. Yeah, see, it's one of those days where there's so many areas that are just unclear. We're clearly ranging. There's no argument there. We know we've had this big push up, so we know there's a gap here that everyone is automatically assuming is going to get filled before, it's very easy to see that and be looking for shorts straight away. But what I will say is if you look at the tops, they are progressively, slowly getting lower. But we are still going sideways, so it's very easy. And I used to get like that a while ago, just be that focused on shorts. And it used to get me into trouble. So I try and keep an open mind. Now, I'm aware it's there, but at the moment, I thought once we get down so far, if we can get up to here, I drew a little circle here. If we can get to that area and show something bearish, then I think there's a good chance it's going to come low. Once we get below this, you got buyers here, there's probably going to be stops here, but I'd say if you're going to be buying here, surely you're aware of that gap and you'll be taking profits up here, wouldn't you? But it's just hard to say. If I'm going to get rid of that cancelled. It could come a lot higher first. See if it breaks this height. But at the moment, it does look like a channel. But this looks like, to me, it's going off in a channel. So, unfortunately, we do get days like this. We get more and more of them, really, where it's bouncing, whipping up and down and not giving us any clear signals. But Max still swears to this day, price action never lies. I kind of agree with him, but sometimes when we've had days like this with nothing, and he'll have taken trades. So my guess is that the longer you've been doing it, your experience just grows and you'll be able to make certain stuff out of this. But most of this, you just got to stay out of, really. Mac, see, I trade price action, and I learn, a lot of us here actually learned from Mac. I'll show you his website. But I started trading currency 4 years ago with a guy in the UK, and I saw two US guys scalping futures contracts on the S&P 500. I started watching them, and they kind of got me interested in it. And when you're used to currency, you got charts coming out your arse. They're just everywhere. Different charts, multiple time frames. They're just, you spend half your life looking for a chart to trade. And I kind of like the way they just, they had this one chart, one time frame. Let me find it. But Mac's been trading for, I think, about 28 years. So this is his website. Sorry, YouTube channel. He has got a website as well. Hey, Jan, how you doing, my friend? Nothing much now. There isn't really. So this is his YouTube channel. And Mac's been trading for about 28 years. So if you look at his videos, he's got, I don't know, 2,000 odd videos. Why can I not? Can you usually? What's going on here? Something looks a bit different here. It usually shows you old and new. He's got videos going back. Well, there's 10 years. He's got videos going back 12 or 13 years. So I'll show you his website. I usually have it on here. Where is it? I'll tell you what. I'll drag it off. I got a link to it here. Oh, you watched him, yeah. Okay. He's a price action trader, and if you want to see, I joined his website to learn, and he charges you $125 for a year. So I kind of feel like I'm robbing him. But he's ever such a nice guy, and he's been putting videos out for free on the YouTube channel for like 13, 14 years now, and he does it Monday to Thursday. And he's an absolutely lovely, genuine guy. And has got donkey's years of experience, and that's kind of how I fell into this. I was watching these two US guys, and they kind of stole his idea and rebranded it and tried to sell his course at 3 times the price. But it's the trouble is there's that many different gurus out there charging you anywhere from, I don't know, a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand, and you never quite know what you're going to get. But just the fact, Michael Chin, just the fact that Mac's been charging $125 for the last 4 years, and probably longer than that. He charges next to nothing for the amount of work he puts in. And that's half the battle, really, finding someone genuine who's happy to help. Do you know Day Trader Next Door? No, I've never heard of him. I will take a photo because I always like to see who's out there. But Mac's an absolutely lovely, genuine guy. And what you hear is what you get. He's just a really nice guy. And, you know, you go through stages where you think, am I getting it? Am I learning it? But after a while, you come to the conclusion, trading's hard and it just takes time. It doesn't matter what strategy you use. I think all strategies work. It's the context, really, applying it to the correct context, which takes the time and the skill. But I do love trading just one chart, one time frame. Whereas I was trading currency, you'd have the major pairs, the minor pairs. You'd be looking, as trend traders, you'd be looking for a weak currency against a strong currency. And then you'd have a couple of different time frames. And I just found I had charts coming out my arse. They were just all over the place. And when I saw this being done, I thought that's what I want. One chart, one time frame. Not only that, you study that one chart and that one time frame, and you get better at it. Hey Dean, how you doing, my friend? Hi Lance, I've recently slowly completed a move away from Pats. I traded it for 4 years with no improvement in my trading. Also, I've not seen proof from anyone that you can be profitable long term. I absolutely understand where you're coming from. I absolutely do. And what I will say is I've been trading it long enough now to know it works. But I think the conclusion I've come to, any type of job where you can earn significant amounts of money like this is never going to be easy. And I have looked around, you know, I've played around with the Penguins strategy, which is kind of similar. So I get what you're coming from. And I've looked at other things. But I think the conclusion I've come to is it does just take time. And there was a post out on the Facebook group the other day saying how long, like a poll, how long did it take you to become profitable? And by far, the biggest one that was selected was 4 to 6 years. So there's a guy I chat to at the Facebook group, Jonathan from Australia way, and he said he'd heard a lot about it and read a lot about it, and he said you're looking at about 5 years. So I would say it's just now. I absolutely get moving away and trying something else. It's human nature to do that, and you know, price action. It's very fast moving. You don't have a lot of time to think about it, and it might not suit everybody. I mean, God, I've asked myself the question: is it ever going to suit me? You know, I'm quite a wired person, and I honestly don't know the answer. But I think the only thing you can do is just do what your gut tells you to do, and if it's not for you, maybe try something else. But I think you've certainly give it plenty enough time. 4 years. You're not a fly-by-night guy. You've not done it for 3 months and figured it doesn't work. So I think you just have to trust your own gut feeling, your own judgment, and just you know, do what you feel is right, bud. Automatic trading using a simple indicator my stress level. Yeah, I will say, and I've heard this recently. When you're a newer trader, don't start scalping. So I kind of did it backwards. And I get that as well. Scalping is, it's a very emotional way of trading. It's very quick. You don't have a lot of time to think. Whereas if you were trading maybe a 15-minute chart or something like that, you've got time to think. And it's like anything. If you're on a roller coaster, the faster that roller coaster goes, the more emotional, the more wired you become. Something that's sedentary and just slowly moving around, there's no issues with it. So if you're lucky, it's 4 years. But yeah, the conclusion I've come to, it does take time. Man, we all know how much money you can earn trading. And any way that you could earn money that easy is never, or that much is never going to be easy. And, we've heard Max say it 1,000 times. I believe him. I like him. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a 100% believe that he's a nice, genuine guy who's an experienced guy, and I believe him. So the conclusion I've come to, I'm coming up 4 years. 4 years in December I started trading. I spent 6 months learning currency from a guy called Andrew Lockwood, a British trader, who traded the London Stock Exchange for years and worked for various city banks. A really nice guy, and he got me into trading. But when you've been trading long enough, you kind of know whether it's going to work or not. And so much of it is down to emotions. It's very easy to lose control of those emotions and take riskier trades, and that tends to lead to a second loss, and then that messes with your head. So there's a kind of lot of sports performance feel to it. I mean, if you look at some of the best tennis players in the world, they still have coaches. So why would the top player in the world have a coach who is nowhere near as good as he is? Doesn't make sense, does it? Surely if he's the best in the world, why would he need a coach? But it just goes to show that there is so much psychology to it. Once you when you're making money, you feel on top of the world. Life couldn't get any better. You feel fantastic. Every day is a blessing. And then you have a day where you have a losing trade and something just doesn't quite work right, or you make a mistake and it gets in your head a little bit. And a lot of times, if you can't just put that aside and move forward, it can lead to a second loss. And if you get 2 losses in a row, that messes with your head some more. And before you know it, it can very easily lead to a blown account. But we've all heard the story that human beings make poor traders. We're not designed like that. We're designed to, we have items, we're material people. We get greedy, we succumb to all that sort of thing, and it's very easy to do what comes natural, and you've got to kind of forget it and put it aside. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to constantly work that sort of 8 pounds lump of fat between your ears, and continue to work that until you start to do what's right and what makes sense, as opposed to what your natural instinct is, to do. Just stays there on tilt. But yeah, it does. Yeah. You have to be on your game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week type of a thing. You always have to be performing well. Now, depending on what job you do in your life, whether you trade full time, we all make mistakes in a job. If you're a carpenter, sometimes you'll cut the wrong piece of wood, but it's not a problem. You just chuck it off the roof and you start again. There's no issues with it. But a mistake in trading can, lead to a substantial loss of money. So when you do make the mistakes, you have to be okay with it. And it's one of the toughest things to kind of be okay with. But I know in my own mind, if I can do that, that is my key to being a lot more consistent. But it's easy said and done. We all know what we're supposed to do, but when it comes to doing it, it is often a big difference. But I do feel completely different now to when I used to feel that, when I used to lose. It doesn't affect me the same way. And the conclusion I can come to that is I'm getting better at it and better at it. As I'm getting better at dealing with emotions, my skill level is constantly building. So I'm aiming in the right direction. I just have to appreciate it takes time. Let's have a look. Excuse me for coughing there. Yeah. SI, shorted that lower high, 1 point down to the EMA. You just go for a point, dear. That one there. Yeah, my gut is still telling me this is likely going to come down here. We have clearly struggled to break higher, so yeah, I don't know, that was terrible. As a Pats trader, I just wouldn't have the guts to trade that at the moment, just because we've got this channel going up and often when we have a break. But my gut feeling is this thing's coming down. So yeah, not only that, if you are scalping for a point, you can trade quite differently. I tend to go for 3 points, so I'm looking for, you know, kind of a slightly more of a move. Well, 3 times what you've got to do. So we've got a channel there with a break. We have pushed below the EMA, so I wouldn't get caught in that, but I kind of hope some traders do. If that was nice and bullish, we could get a failure there. But the way this thing's chopping back, I wouldn't be shocked if we come up some more. It's very easy to get focused on something. So we did trig above that bar, and that bar's finished a doji. Having said that, it is still slightly bullish. Now going short here is an option, but 1, it's big. 2, you don't know whether it might just stop that out and then work up. So I'm just sitting tight at the moment. It's 13, well, it's 14 ticks and 8 finish yet, so there's nothing for me there, unfortunately. But let's have a look. Maybe something like, I don't know, look, that thing's still going. It's just gone too far. Now it could just completely come plumbing down, but my guess is we're going to have a pullback. So I'm just going to sit tight and see how that pans out. Yeah, it's 16 ticks and it ain't. And that's without a tick above, tick below. Should have kept me short. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Yeah, it is. It is crazy, isn't it, when you see that and you think, if I held on, but you don't know whether it's going to come down 1 point and then reverse on you. You just never quite know. I do believe as you get better at trading and you do identify things, there are times when it is worth holding on. I'm not kind of comfortable with doing it just yet, but I certainly think there is going to be a time in the future where I will hold on. Now, the trouble is with prop firms, apart from your own money, when you start a prop firm, you start from zero. So you've got to make money before you can make money. And if you have taken a couple of trades, and I know you're $400 or $500 up, you've kind of got nothing to lose, really. So that sometimes can result in a risk. Whereas if you had $2,500 of your own money, you've got money to make money. So theoretically, you haven't got to go through that whole initial month or 2 or 3 to try and build something. But I'm not ready to trade my own money just yet, because I still have those little moments where I can just, yeah, I'm getting better at it. But sometimes those emotions can just get the better of me. But there's a clear difference in when I started to where I am now. Trading one evaluation used to scare the hell out of me. I've had times where my knees are almost physically shaking, so you do. I think we all go through that stage of being scared to take a trade as well. Things are going so well, your accounts are looking nice, you're scared to take a trade. I've kind of stopped that now. You have to go through all these different, you know, you don't become an experienced mountaineer by going up one mountain. You've got to spend 5 years doing it, going up multiple mountains and making mistakes and learning. Every time you climb another mountain, you get a bit better at it and a bit more experienced. And then when you are an experienced person at it, you're naturally better at it. And kind of training's the same way. It does take wins and losses and wins and losses and wins and lessons learned to just improve. And you do improve at such a slow level that it does take time. But I have blown a count. Most due to 3 items, 1 moving stop loss, 2 DCA. Yeah. Trading NQ. Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that last one. NQ's a little bit too... it's a bit too boisterous for me. It does kind of move a little bit more erratic, and, you know, risking one contract on the NQ compared to the ES, you could be risking a lot more money. I find it a bit hard to trade, to be honest with you. I think if you traded it or you're used to trading it, then that's fine. But this for me is a little bit, it's almost like having stabilizers on your bike. This is for me. But yeah, moving your stop. Yeah, I've still done that on occasion. Sometimes I'll move it a tick. But I think the best result is just to not move it, put it and not move it. And just commit if you get into a trade, commit. But I dare say there are people who are naturally good. Not so much at the skill, we've all got to learn that, but there are some people who are naturally good at self-control. You know, some people can say they're going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym, and they just do it day after day. You know, some people have just got mental focus in their life. I don't know, maybe down to just the way they are. But I'm not one of them. If I want to do something, I'll put my mind to it. I pretty much do, but it doesn't always come natural. So let's have a good look at this. So we clearly got a channel down there. It's fitting nice. Now, we broke out the bottom of this and it failed, but we're still making lower highs every single time. I'm not counting this so much because we're working down. This is a break. And then we've pushed strongly through the EMA, so maybe we'll pull back here and continue down. So this is Thomas Wade's chart. He's kind of thinking the same way, judging by that. So if we can get a nice second entry here. But it is very easy to focus on short to fill that gap. Sometimes that affects your bias and can get you in a bit of trouble, but my sentiments exactly. Confused. It's not the easiest day today. How long we've been going for? 3 hours more or less. I'm going to see what happens here and then I'm done for the day, actually. I've got to nip out and do some stuff. Yeah, this is our day today. But it is a good exercise in patience. It's nice to know you can sit through 3 hours and not take a trade. It's an important skill to have that. I used to be awful at it, but I have improved. One of my little failures I used to do was sit here for nearly 3 hours and then take a stupid trade in the last 5 minutes. So channel down. One attempt to push higher. Second attempt to push higher. It's almost like a penguin style trade, that. 2 pushes up, followed by a possible failure. Let me just see if that is playing a role. It may do. Two legs down. It may be ranging a bit there. It's definitely not the easiest day. In fact, I think I'm going to finish there, actually. I can't see this thing changing, to be honest with you. It's an hard day today, but that's okay. unfortunately, you can only do what you can do. If there's nothing there, you can't take anything. I'm just going to give it another couple of minutes just to see what it does when it gets to this channel down. 2 attempts to push higher. That's pushing up quite strong. So let's just give it a couple of minutes and I am done for the day. Just keep it in mind, folks, that 80% off finishes on Thursday, I think. Thursday. So it'd be nice for them to give us a 90% off, but I have a feeling whenever they do, it gives us rhythmic issues. I just hope they keep the $85 lifetime fee, because that is the biggest bonus of them all, I think. So, move down, 1 attempt to push higher, 2nd attempt to push higher. Let's see if this fails. Trouble is, you can't really short that because we're still in this channel up at the moment. Down to 50. Okay, that bearish bar has triggered. We didn't quite get to the top of this. There's definitely some support along there. We didn't quite get to the top, so we're going to try another break. So it may try and push a bit higher. But my gut is telling me this thing is going to drop. There is 2 attempts to push over, and it's pushed below that EMA. So that might be a penguin style trade. Okay, I think I'm done for the day, folks. I can't see anything coming here. It's pushed down too far. I dare say we're going to see that filled at some point. It's certainly looking like it's pushing down, but it's not been the easiest day today. It has been shopping around, so I appreciate you keeping me company. Thanks for the comments. If you are carrying on trading, good luck. I hope you get something. You may do. We'll see. Failing that, have a great evening. Stay safe, and I'll be back again tomorrow. So it's an hour early for me and anyone in the UK. 1:30 UK time. I believe you guys catch up and drop back that hour, I think, on the 4th. But we may have a lot of this week, obviously leading up to the elections. So we'll see anyway. But I will leave you to it. So I'll be back tomorrow. So have a great evening. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. Bye for now.